Imagine living in a place designed to protect you from the outside world. A place where security is layered, cameras are always watching, and every movement around the property is monitored. Now imagine that sense of security being broken, in seconds, by the sound of gunfire. That's the reality behind the case involving. What started as a quiet night quickly turned into something far more unsettling. Something that still doesn't have clear answers. Because this wasn't just noise, and it wasn't an accident. Nearly 20 shots were fired toward a celebrity's home. And the question that continues to follow this case is simple. Why? First, everything seemed normal. The kind of normal that people expect in a high-end neighborhood. Calm, quiet, predictable. The kind of environment where nothing unusual ever seems to happen. Inside the property, there were no signs of danger. No warnings. No unusual activity. Just another night. Until that silence was broken. Gunshots. Not one. Not two. But multiple rounds fired toward the home. In that moment, everything changed. Security systems reacted instantly. Lights activated. Movement alerts triggered. The calm environment disappeared and was replaced with confusion, fear, and urgency. Whoever was responsible wasn't just nearby. They were armed. And they were firing. That alone changes everything. Because it immediately removes the possibility of misunderstanding. It wasn't a random noise. It wasn't something accidental. It was deliberate. And when something is deliberate, it carries intent. Within moments, authorities were contacted. Police arrived quickly, surrounding the area and securing the scene. And what they confirmed made the situation even more serious. This wasn't random. Someone had intentionally fired shots toward a home that belonged to one of the most recognized people in the world. That detail alone raises the stakes. Because when something like this happens in a location like that, it forces a deeper question. Was the house the target? Or was the person inside the real focus? Not long after, a suspect was identified. A woman was taken into custody and later charged in connection with the shooting. And that's where the story takes another turn. Because when she appeared in court, she pleaded not guilty. Despite everything that happened that night, despite the number of shots fired, despite the seriousness of the situation, she is denying responsibility. And now the case has moved into a different phase. A phase where facts will be examined, evidence will be presented, and every detail will be questioned. But even with an arrest, even with charges, there is still something missing. A motive. There was no break-in, no robbery attempt, no signs of forced entry. Nothing was taken. No confrontation was reported. Just gunfire. That absence of motive is what makes this case stand out. Because when there's a clear reason behind an action, people can process it. They can understand it even if they don't agree with it. But when there's no reason, it becomes something else entirely. Something unpredictable. Something harder to explain. And that's exactly where this case is right now. Investigators are working to fill in those gaps. They're looking into the suspect's background, reviewing social media activity, examining past behavior, trying to find any connection, any detail, any clue that could explain what led to that moment. Because moments like that don't just appear out of nowhere. Something builds up to them. The question is, what was it? Was there a personal connection? Was there a history that hasn't been revealed yet? Was this something planned? Or something that happened suddenly? These are the questions that matter. And so far, they don't have clear answers. That uncertainty is what keeps this story alive. Because it leaves room for possibilities. Possibilities that people can't ignore. One possibility is that this was targeted. That the home wasn't just a location, but a symbol. That the person inside was the focus. Another possibility is that it wasn't targeted at all. That it was driven by something internal. Something emotional. Something unstable. And if that's the case, it becomes even more concerning. Because actions without clear reasoning are the hardest to predict. They don't follow patterns. They don't give warnings. They just happen. And when they do, they leave people trying to make sense of something that doesn't easily make sense. Now think about the level of security that exists around a celebrity home. Cameras, sensors, personnel, layers of protection designed to prevent exactly this kind of situation. And yet, it still happened. That alone raises another question. If something like this can happen in a place designed to prevent it, what does that say about safety in general? It's a question that doesn't have an easy answer, because safety is often based on control. And situations like this remind people that control isn't always absolute. There are always variables, always unknowns, always possibilities, and sometimes those possibilities become reality. As the investigation continues, more details are expected to come out. Evidence will be analyzed. Testimonies will be reviewed. Timelines will be reconstructed. Every movement, every action, every detail from that night will be examined closely. Because somewhere in those details, there's an answer, an explanation, a reason. But until that reason is found, the story remains incomplete. And incomplete stories tend to stay with people, because they don't offer closure. They don't provide certainty. They leave questions open, questions that continue to circulate. What really happened that night? What led to that moment? What was going through the suspect's mind? Was it planned, or was it impulsive? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, could it happen again? These are the kinds of questions that don't fade quickly, because they go beyond the event itself. They connect to something deeper, the idea that even in places designed for safety, unexpected things can still happen. As the legal process moves forward, the focus will shift from what happened to proving what can be proven, from questions to evidence, from speculation to facts. But even then, not every question may be answered, because sometimes even when a case is resolved, the full story remains out of reach. And that's what makes situations like this so difficult to fully understand. Because they don't just exist as events. They exist as reminders. Reminders that not everything has a clear explanation. That not every action has an obvious reason. And that sometimes, the most unsettling part of a story is what we don't know. For now, the case continues. The investigation is ongoing. And the world is watching, waiting for clarity, waiting for answers, waiting to understand what really happened on a night that started out completely normal and ended in a way no one expected. Until then, the questions remain. And sometimes, it's those unanswered questions that stay with us the longest.